My name is Michelle. I'm 35 years old and a stay-at-home mom. It's just the three of us, my husband, who works for a company, our 7-year-old daughter, and me. My husband, Tom, is a manager at a brokerage company. I used to be a hairdresser. My parents run a hair salon. I always thought I might take over the business someday. However, after getting married and having a child, which were two major life events, I decided to delay that plan and focus on taking care of our home and raising our daughter for a while. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd end up in a soap opera-worthy drama. Let me share the story of how I decided to leave my cheating husband. Tom and I met at a group dinner with friends. He happened to be sitting next to me. He was the friendly and thoughtful type who'd strike up a conversation easily. One thing led to another, and after we started talking more, it turned into a romance and eventually we got married. Yet, there were some issues. From the very beginning, Tom didn't help with any housework. I thought he'd change someday, but he never did. Still, we were blessed with a child, a little girl. We named her Lily. I thought we'd be a happy family of 3. Though, as expected, Tom didn't pitch in with parenting either. Anytime I'd ask him for help, his kind demeanor would switch and he'd turn into a full-on authoritarian.
I'm the one working to support this family.
Wasn't that just dividing roles? Even when I asked him nicely, he'd sometimes get angry and break things. I eventually realized I couldn't count on him, so I took on everything by myself. By the time Lily turned 4, Tom's job suddenly got a lot busier. He had overnight shifts and more business trips. When he came home, he always said that he was busy. He often stayed holed up in the bedroom. Even so, I tried to handle everything at home, thinking I was doing it for my hardworking husband. Then came Lily's 4th birthday. I had told Tom the day before,
"Tomorrow is Lily's birthday, so let's all go out to dinner together."
Tom replied,
Yeah, got it.
but he seemed distracted. Still, I thought he wouldn't forget something as important as our daughter's birthday. I booked a nice little restaurant in our neighborhood. I was a bit worried about bringing a child there, but the owner was happy to accommodate us early in the evening. Lily and I waited for Tom at the reserved time. However, the agreed time came and passed. No matter how long we waited, he didn't show up. Worried he might have been in an accident, I called him.
"Hey, where are you?"
When I was worried and asked so, Tom responded in a slightly annoyed tone.
I'm in the middle of an important meeting right now.
"I told you yesterday, it's Lily's birthday today."
I said so, a little taken aback. Tom suddenly snapped.
My project is more important than her birthday. You just don't get how hard I work.
Then he hung up abruptly.
"Daddy is busy with work and can't make it today."
When I told Lily apologetically, she responded cheerfully.
It's okay, Mom. Daddy's busy with work.
After that, I tried not to let my frustration show, and the two of us enjoyed our meal together. From that year on, Tom never joined us for Lily's birthday dinners again. Something about it didn't sit right with me. Then came the final straw. It happened on Christmas Eve. Since Tom had gotten so busy with his work, he had stopped spending Christmas with us because of it. With Lily being a first grader that Christmas, it felt like a really special time for both her and me. I believed this time Tom would make it up to us. I had asked him repeatedly, well in advance.
"Please come home early for Christmas this year."
As usual, his response was distracted, saying,
Yeah, I got it.
I had a bad feeling, but I kept telling myself it would surely be fine this time. After all, it's Christmas. If miracles could happen, surely they'd happen on a night like this. On Christmas morning, Lily stopped Tom as he was heading out to work.
Daddy, you have to come home early today. We have a feast waiting for you.
However, his answer was shocking.
Sorry, sweetie. I have to work. Daddy's got a business trip tonight.
Are you serious? A business trip? You haven't said anything about that. What's going on?
Tom responded coldly to me, who was surprised.
It came up last night. Don't you understand how important this project is? Stop making this harder for me.
I stood there, speechless, as he walked out the door. The unease I had felt since Lily's birthday returned with a vengeance. Something was definitely off. That evening, Lily came down with a fever. Feeling helpless, I called Tom. 1 second, 2 seconds. Then I was connected to voicemail. Although I felt like I was doing something wrong, I decided to call his office.
Hi, your husband? He's out sick today.
Really? I thought he was on a business trip.
My head started spinning. Wasn't he supposed to be on a business trip? I repeatedly took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing mind. Then it hit me. He was having an affair. I was so flustered that I barely managed to say,
I see.
before hanging up the phone. That night, Lily's fever thankfully calmed down before bedtime. She was sound asleep, breathing peacefully. I sat there, sipping a glass of wine, feeling numb. Before I knew it, tears started streaming down my face. How could Tom hurt our sweet daughter so easily? I realized that this wasn't the time to wallow in self-pity. Looking at my innocent daughter sleeping soundly, I made a vow. I would find proof of his affair and divorce him. I would make a happy life for my daughter and myself. Eventually, Tom wasn't home during the Christmas holidays, claiming that he had work again. Yet, I wasn't crying or feeling sad anymore. Such a man was not my husband. That's what I decided to think. Right after the new year, I hired a private investigator to look into Tom's activities. The results came quickly, which indicated that he was far from innocent. Tom was an easy man to read, but it also showed just how much he underestimated me. There were several photos of him entering and leaving budget hotels with another woman. Some showed them at more questionable places. Others caught them having cozy meals together or chatting. Furthermore, there were even pictures of them kissing. The investigator also identified the woman's social media account. That's when I learned that the woman was one of his colleagues. Her name was Melissa Tate, 30 years old. The investigator showed me some photos of her. Melissa had curled hair. She was wearing a sleeveless black top that showed her arms and a tight red skirt. She seemed to have a very flashy style. In fact, her social media posts became the final nail in the coffin. On Lily's birthday and Christmas, Tom appeared in her photos. On Lily's birthday, she posted, "Date with my sweetie." On Christmas, "Disneyland with my boyfriend." Feeling so happy that it's even scary, and wishing for my happy days with my boyfriend. Moreover, it turned out their relationship had been going on for nearly 3 years. I felt a growing rage toward Tom for deceiving both our daughter and me for so long. At the same time, my love for him dropped straight past zero to a negative 5,000. For the next few months, I stayed calm and carefully planned my next steps. Divorce was a given, but he wasn't getting off that easy. I decided to disappear from his life completely. I would move out. First, I canceled the lease on our apartment as it was time for renewal anyway. That meant there would no longer be a home for him to come back to. Next, I arranged for a new place. When I told my parents everything, they were more than happy to welcome me back home. They had always hoped I would take over the family's hair salon. Therefore, they were actually thrilled to have me return. Once I decided to move back to my parents' house, I had to figure out how to handle our belongings. To make sure everything would go smoothly and secretly on a moving day, I began transporting my and Lily's things to my parents' place little by little, while Tom was away. From the beginning, Tom had not been interested in my life. Although my belongings gradually disappeared, he didn't seem to notice. When he once asked me,
"Did this room change a bit?"
I simply replied,
Oh, I did some decluttering. Doesn't it feel nice and tidy now?
I also decided to sell the refrigerator and the washing machine that I had bought when we got married. To avoid suspicion, I arranged for them to be picked up on moving day. Finally, the moving day arrived. That morning, Tom again claimed he was leaving for another one of his so-called business trips. No doubt he was planning to spend the day with Melissa, given his cheery mood as he left the house. After dropping Lily off at school, I got to work packing up. Soon, a moving truck pulled up. The movers began loading up all the furniture and belongings related to Lily and me. At that moment, my phone rang. It was Tom who was calling. I froze for a second before picking up.
Hello?
"Hey, it's me. What's going on? It sounds noisy over there."
Shoot. The sounds of the movers working must have been picked up. I answered carefully, trying to sound as calm as possible.
Oh, I'm out shopping right now. There's some construction work happening nearby.
"By the way, I won't be back tomorrow. I'll be home the day after since something came up."
Yes. Internally, I was fist-pumping with relief.
Oh no, that's tough. Well, take care of yourself.
I cheerfully ended the call and got back to work. Soon, the movers finished their job. Once the moving truck drove off, the next step was to send out the fridge and the washing machine. The workers efficiently carried everything out with practiced ease. With everything gone, the apartment suddenly felt empty. Only a table and a few pieces of furniture Tom had brought when we got married remained. After watching the truck drive away, I loaded the last few items into my car. I locked up the apartment and left. I finally finished unloading everything at my parents' house. I felt a fresh sense of determination as I picked up Lily from school. On the way home, I spoke to her gently.
Listen, Lily. Your dad and I just can't get along anymore. So, I've decided to take you to live with Grandma and Grandpa. Your home will be different starting today, but you'll always have your dad and me as your parents. I love you, Lily.
Lily listened quietly and then asked,
What about school?
Don't worry. You'll stay at the same school and you'll still see your friends.
Luckily, the school district didn't change.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Her nonchalant response caught me off guard. Come to think of it, Tom had always been cold toward her. Even on his days off, he never played with her. Birthdays and Christmases were always just the two of us. As a husband and a father, he had failed in every role. I realized long ago, before I even decided to leave him, that he was unnecessary in our lives. 2 nights later, Tom called me.
"What the hell is this? What happened to the house?"
I canceled the lease. Neither the house nor you are needed in our lives anymore. Though, I figured it'd be too much to expect you to move out on such short notice, so I arranged for you to stay there for another 2 weeks. How thoughtful of me, right?
I answered calmly.
"Where's the fridge and the washing machine?"
He was panicking.
I sold them, of course.
"Are you serious? You can't just do whatever you want like that."
Tom's anger was rising, but I ignored it and continued in a businesslike tone.
More importantly, Make sure to be at the conference room tomorrow at 9 a.m.
What do you mean?
I've already informed your boss about everything. We're meeting to discuss things with your girlfriend.
What are you talking about?
He was playing dumb.
We have all the evidence of your affair.
It's a misunderstanding. Don't you trust me? I'm so disappointed in you. Come back home right now.
I calmly responded to him, who was furious.
That's not going to happen. Well, see you tomorrow.
With that, I ended the call. The next day, the meeting room was thick with tension as Tom, his mistress Melissa, his boss, and I gathered.
Let's hear your explanation first.
Tom's boss began.
This is all a misunderstanding.
Tom quickly interjected.
Melissa and I are close due to work, but there's nothing inappropriate going on.
I pulled out a photo and said,
Well, what about this photo?
it was a picture of Tom and Melissa entering a hotel together and even kissing. Though clearly startled, Tom kept his cool.
We just happened to be passing through that area. Photos can be doctored, you know. You probably had these faked to frame me, didn't you?
I couldn't believe the audacity of him to claim that at this point.
Then, how about these?
I showed screenshots from Melissa's social media.
These people look pretty cozy, don't they? In some photos, you're in the frame.
That's just someone who looks like Tom. My boyfriend happens to look exactly like him.
You mean everything's a coincidence and there's absolutely nothing shady between you two?
I shot them both a sharp look as I spoke, and they nodded.
Well, if that's the case.
When I said so, they exchanged smug grins. I continued.
I'd love to meet Melissa's boyfriend. It would be great to see this doppelganger of my husband. If he can testify, I'll be satisfied as a wife.
What did you say?
Melissa's voice cracked.
I'm telling you, just bring your boyfriend here.
I stated firmly.
Melissa's boyfriend is overseas right now, so he can't come.
Tom said so, leaping to her defense.
All right, then could we at least get a good look at a photo of him?
I pressed on, not backing down. Melissa fumbled with her phone.
Preferably one where he's in a suit and we can see his upper body clearly.
Finally, she showed me a photo. It was unmistakably Tom in a suit, prominently in the frame.
Is this the boyfriend who looks exactly like my husband?
When I asked so quietly, she answered, trying to sound confident.
Yes, that's him.
I stayed composed.
Can you zoom in on the tie pin in this photo? More. More. That tie pin was a Christmas gift I gave my husband years ago. It's engraved.
Sure enough, the zoomed-in image revealed faintly etched letters, Tom Anderson.
Are you still going to insist this is someone else?
I spoke, barely containing my anger.
What? No way. That's not possible.
Tom buried his head in his hands. I faced him and said firmly,
From now on, you can contact me through my attorney's office.
I placed the business card of the attorney I had consulted in advance on the table.
What does this mean?
He looked confused.
It means divorce.
He couldn't hide his shock at my decisive tone.
Divorce? What about Lily? You'll have a hard time without me.
We'll be just fine. Lily already knows, and I'll raise her well on my own.
At that moment, Melissa blurted out something outrageous.
Yes, now we can finally be together.
She showed her true colors.
What are you talking about, Missy?
Tom panicked.
Wow. You're on a nickname basis. Your workplace seems to be so friendly.
When I said so sarcastically, his boss interjected sharply.
There's no such informal culture in our company.
What a nice statement. Tom tried to insist again.
This is a misunderstanding. The photos are fake. Even the tie pin is just a coincidence.
However, before he could finish, Melissa's face crumpled as she exclaimed,
Why are you denying it so much? You told me you'd marry me once you divorced your wife.
Well, that's not exactly what I meant.
Tom stammered, but I cut him off.
What exactly do you mean? Explain it to me.
You stay out of this. This is between Tom and me. If you had just divorced him sooner, none of this would have happened. Open your eyes, you clueless, spiteful woman.
Her words infuriated me.
The spiteful woman here is you. What's so fun about destroying someone else's family? You can have him. He's all yours.
Finally, Tom's boss intervened.
Enough. Don't you understand that the real victim here is Michelle? Tom, your repeated betrayal is entirely your fault. And Melissa, you're equally to blame. You'll both be informed of the consequences later.
His authoritative tone silenced the room.
But we can still be together, right?
Melissa asked Tom again.
What are you saying? We could both face serious repercussions. The company is strict about compliance, so we won't get away with this.
Tom was flustered and shouted in panic, while his clueless mistress, oblivious to the hardships ahead, remained in her delusional bubble. Seeing that the two were likely to keep arguing, Tom's boss and I exchanged exasperated looks, left them to their mess, and walked out of the meeting room. They could fight all they wanted. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. In this case, as part of the settlement, I ended up with $25,000 in alimony and will be receiving $900 a month for child support. As for Tom, he was demoted and eventually forced to leave the company. Melissa also resigned. Later, I heard Melissa's parents were furious when they found out about everything. They scolded her harshly and Tom and Melissa eventually broke up. Now both Tom and Melissa are scrambling to find new jobs. As for me, I've taken over my parents' hair salon. Thanks to the savvy use of social media, the business has grown and the shop is thriving, attracting not just the older customers who frequented the salon under my parents, but also a younger crowd. As my parents love having their granddaughter around, I'm even planning a home renovation to make things more comfortable. Lily doesn't seem to miss her father at all because he was always cold to her anyway. I doubt I'll ever forget what happened between Tom and me. The pain of being betrayed by someone you love is something only those who've experienced it can truly understand. However, his affair made me a stronger, more independent woman. Now, my only focus is on ensuring Lily's happiness and working hard to secure our future. Merry Christmas! This year, I'll be celebrating Christmas with my parents and my daughter.